What's happening YouTube? Welcome back to a brand new video. So this should be my Ford Fair vlog, but Ford Fair for me was just a little bit of a disaster, yeah, which we're going to get into shortly. But the day before Ford Fair I actually travelled down to Caffeine and Machine and Diddley Squat Farm. So while I go and drive out to find somewhere to sit down and we'll have a chat, please enjoy some happiness from the weekend at least. But we stopped off at Caffeine and Machine, and well, if you don't know what Caffeine and Machine is, well, here's a taster. Check this out. Right, so we're leaving Caffeine and Machine. It's been a bit of a flying visit because we're going on to one place where I've always wanted to visit, but it's always closed. The opening times have changed, so we've got to visit while we're down here, and we're off to Diddley Squat. So let's make our exit from Caffeine and Machine. Before we get into what went on then and what happened, I really enjoyed that footage of Caffeine and Machine and Diddley Squat Farm. That was the day before, so that was a Saturday. The idea was we travelled down, had an hour and a half, 2 hours at Caffeine and Machine, onto Diddley Squat and then onto where we were staying, and that's what we did, and it was absolutely amazing. Saturday was absolutely amazing. Caffeine and Machine never ever fails to disappoint. There's a big Porsche gathering there, as you've probably seen from the footage. There was a GT40 there, and it was a really good, like, it never disappoints. Diddley Squat was quality. To see where that's filmed. Bought some of the Hawkstone Lager, which is really nice. I'm not a big beer drinker, but we had to get some while we were there. To queue for about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get in the shop, and we got fleeced once you're in there. But it's worth it, none the least, because obviously it's Jeremy Clarkson's farm. And we then got on to where we were staying, which was stunning. That big tree that you've probably seen in the footage, absolutely stunning place. Had a good sleep. And then got up bright and early, headed off to Ford Fair 2024. Absolutely buzzing. We were only about 10 minutes away, so it was ideal where we stayed. We then queued up, and this is where it started for me. I think this is where I began to get annoyed and frustrated. And I know people are going to say in the comments, well, what do you expect? But we queued for about an hour and a half to 2 hours just to get in, just to get into Ford Fair. The queue's really slow. The marshal were doing a fantastic job, I'm sure, but it just seemed really long-winded to get in. It seemed like we sat on the bypass queuing up the slip road a lot longer than was necessary and than was needed, if I'm honest. Once we'd queued up, I was booked on the 10 o'clock track time session. By the time I queued up and got into Ford Fair, it was about 10:15 to 10 to 10, like trying to get in. So I didn't even go to the club stand I was with. I was going with Oval Owners. I didn't even go to their stand. Let's rewind actually. While we're queuing up, something that cool that did happen, if I'm honest. As we were queuing up to get in, there was a guy who had a Mark II Ultimate Green Focus RS who just shouted, "Bad motors!" And I looked out the window and he was like, just sat behind me, and he was like, "I subscribe to your YouTube channel. Like, I just recognise you and seen your car. It's good to see you." So that was pretty cool. I've never been recognised at a car show, even though we're queuing up to get in, but yeah, that was pretty cool, if I'm honest. So as I said, we got in. I didn't go to the club stand I was with, Oval Owners. I drove straight to as close as I could get to the track time, or my wife did. I jumped out with my paperwork and I ran to book onto track. I'd signed the indemnity form, I showed my driving licence and I proved that I bought the track sessions, and I said to the guy, "Is that it? Am I done? Do we need anything else?" And he said, "No, you're just in time. Get yourself to the pit lane so you can get yourself out on track." Came out of the pit garage, I rang my wife and said, "Right, I'm all done. Come and meet me now. We need to get to the pit lane." My wife was like driving around and parking up in the car. She drove back round, I jumped in, we drove to the pit lane, we got let into the pits. She then jumped out, gave me a kiss and said, "Don't drive too stupid," and off she shot with a camera to get some shots of me flying by on track. I was in the pit lane, I was putting my stickers in the window as fast as I could, I got my helmet out of the boot, I put my towing eye on the front bumper, I got in the car, helmet on, I thought, boom, we've just about made it just in time to get out on track. Now, while we're doing this rushing around, I noticed that the car was making a little bit of a funny noise. It wasn't a noise that I'd ever heard it make before, and when it made it I was like, it's coming from the back, and then it'd make it again and I'd be like, oh no, it's coming from the front, and then it'd make it again and I'd be like, oh no, it's the middle, and then it'd make it again and I'd be like, no, that's the back. And me and my wife, I was asking her, where do you think that's coming from? Not probably as calmly as that, if I'm honest, but I couldn't pinpoint where this was coming from. I told myself that it was a heat shield was rattling. Whether it was or wasn't, I'm not sure at this point still, but either way, the car made this noise that I'd never made before, which was playing on my mind. Was it that? I didn't know what this noise was basically. So I'm sat in the pit lane, I'm good to go. I've got this noise in the back of my head thinking, is this the best idea, taking this car out on track? It's making a noise that I've never heard it make before. I don't know where this noise is coming from. Like, what do I do here? And then the marshal come up checking, and he was like, towing eye on good, you've got your stickers in your window good, have you got your wristband? I said, what wristband? Do you need a wristband? I said, look mate, I said, I've just sprinted in here, like, explain what had gone on, booked into session. I asked if I needed a wristband, I got told no. I got asked if I had a wristband, I said, no, look mate, I've just been, I said, they're not going to let you out if you haven't got a wristband. He said, you might as well pull out, because you're not getting out on track without it. So, obviously, I was annoyed at this point. I pulled my helmet off and my balaclava on the passenger seat. Like, the guy had opened the passenger door and was speaking to me, and he said, look, like, I can see you're frustrated, calm down, I know what you're saying to me, go back, get yourself a wristband, I will let you on the next session because I believe you when you told me they hadn't give you a wrist. I said, alright mate, I really appreciate that. And I set off and I pulled out to the pit. I rang my wife, I said, look, they've not let me out on track, I'm marking the car up, I'm going to go, and I think I actually said I'm going to go and have an argument with this guy about this wristband. So I went back in. The guy that I booked in with was there dealing with somebody else, and there was another guy, and I said, look mate, this is what's happened, I've been sent away, I give me a form to this gentleman, I asked him if I needed a wristband and he said no, now I've not been let on track, like what's going on here. He said, you need to go for a briefing, that's why you've not got your wristband, you need to go to the next garage over and sit down with a marshal, he'll give you a 5 minutes brief, you'll get a wristband and off you go. I didn't get into the argument of why didn't he tell me this then, I just went and did what he said. I went and had my brief, I got a wristband, and then jumped in the car. My wife had come to meet me at this point, and like, my stress levels were through the roof now at this point. I'd queued for an hour and a half to 2 hours to get in. The car was making a funny noise that I didn't know what it was. I'd been turned down to get on track, and it began to feel like everything was pointing towards, and everything was pushing not to go out on that track session. And my stress levels were through the roof. I thought, you know what, let's go to Oval Owners stand, park up, and let's have a minute, because the next session wasn't open to the public, it was the drifters. So let's go and do this, let's go and park up, let's have a minute. So I went to Oval Owners, I checked my levels, I had oil, I had coolant, everything seemed fine. But the car made this noise. And like I said, I convinced myself that the car was going to fucking explode. I was massively overwhelmed, stress levels were through the roof. I even at one point had to walk away from the car with the bonnet up and my wife sat in it, just so I could have a minute. And I sat down like on a little bit of a grass verge, kind of put my head in my hands and thought like, what's going on? Like this is just not meant to be this year for me. Clearly something is out there telling me I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be going on track. I walked back to the car and I said to my wife, we're going home, like, I'm done. Ford Fair 2024 for me is a failure, it's a disaster. I'm fucking going home, I've had enough. I checked my oils and my coolant one more time, and yeah, they were good just like they were before. And I thought, you know what, fuck this, let's get out of here. The A43, made our way to the M1, and as I got on the M1, it was a 50 mile an hour average speed check for quite some time. So as that cleared and the traffic cleared up, I thought, you know what, let's get my toe down now, let's get up to motorway speed and like let's get our legs on. As I geared down from 6th to 5th, I built the boost up. As I built the boost up, I then squeezed the power in. The car revved but didn't really go anywhere, and I thought, geared into 6, give it another bit of a squeeze and a footful, and again it revved but didn't really go anywhere. And it was at that point that I realised that the clutch was slipping. I'd not really give it a footful, like coming down, and just totted down on around the country lanes around Oxfordshire and in the Cotswolds, because police are everywhere with it being an event the next day. So I just took my time for them reasons, but the clutch slipped, and I definitely didn't imagine it. And I checked that theory again, and it slipped more than once on the motorway on the way home. So the clutch is definitely slipping. Now I know what some of you are going to say down below, because you've said it on previous videos when I mentioned about the Dream Science Mod X map, that it'll kill my clutch, and you were right. It's not killed it, but it is slipping. And I knew this, and I knew this would happen. And this is where I began. This is where everything on the day at Ford Fair. This is why I began to feel, I think, like overwhelmed and stressed and fucking pissed off. Pretty much with myself more than anything, because I strive on trying to do things properly. I don't like to cut corners. I like things to be the best they can be, and I like to have the best things I can have. And I like to do things the correct way, and I've not done that, and I've rushed into getting the car mapped because I was rushing trying to get to Ford Fair. And what I should have actually done was, the money that I spent having the car mapped, I should have put that into doing the clutch and then save up again to get the car mapped. And if I went to Ford Fair with a standard map and out on track, it wouldn't have been an issue at all, because I'd have had the clutching ready for the next track day or the Ford Fair 2025. But I didn't do it for some reason. I just rushed to get the car mapped, and that's what's probably contributed to me on the day being stressed. The car's making noises it's never made before, and I was just fucking pissed off and a disaster, like. And I felt like I just felt fucking shit. I felt like I'd let myself down, I'd let the car down, like, and I'd let you guys, like I said, there was a guy who recognised me from these videos queuing up in traffic, and I was hoping to level up around his car and have a chat with him and get his car on the channel, which I'm still up for doing. You know, if you do watch this video, mate, I am still up for doing. And I think what I need to do now for myself, for my sanity, for my mental health, is I need to take a step back. And that could be its own separate video, I suppose, about the reasons surrounding that. But I pushed really hard this year with YouTube to achieve the dream, and I'm going to continue to push, like 1,000,000%. I will be back. I'm not giving up as such. I'm just going to take a step back, and I'm going to take a step back, get refreshed, and then come back and revisit. I don't know how long that'll be. It might be a week, it might be 2, it could be a month, it could be 2. I'm really not sure. But for now, I'm going to leave this video here. Ford Fair 2024 was a bit of a disaster for me, but I did say on social media it does look wicked, and I watched, somebody's already got a Ford Fair 2024 video out there, and it looked like a really good turnout and a good show. So yeah, a bit of a depressing one, I know. I wasn't going to share this, if I'm honest. I was just going to gloss over Ford Fair 2024 like it didn't happen. But I felt like I kind of deserved to give an explanation to everybody out there, because I've mentioned it so much in recent videos, and so we can reflect as well, because I think that's important, that as I come out of the other side of this and I learn from it and I grow, and my knowledge grows, I think it's important that as a human, as an adult, I develop and I learn from this, and I can look back and go, wow, actually Ford Fair 2024 was a bit of a disaster. I've learned from that, and this is where I am now because of that life lesson, if that makes sense. It does make sense, a bit deep, I know. If you want to see that video about YouTube and it stresses that it has on you and the strain it has on you as a creator, then comment down below and I'll get out and film that maybe for next week, another talky one. But for now, if you feel sorry for me, make sure you press that subscribe button. If you want to donate, anyone out there who's got a Mark II Focus RS clutch going spare and you want to donate it to the build, then please get in touch. My contact details are below, my email address, comment down below, and my Instagram is also down below. Thanks very much for watching. I promise you the next one will be a bit more upbeat, whenever that may be. If it's a clutch going into this is the next video, or we bought another project car, I don't know what the next chapter of BAM Motors will be, but I promise you we will be back. Just give me a bit of time and let me reflect. But for now, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.